What's up, guys? This is Understand Jiu Jitsu with DCD. In today's episode, we're going to be once again going over another Gustavo Batista clip, okay? Now, this clip is going to be from his match against Lucas Lepri in the 2019 European Championships. Now, the last video that we did, we went over his kind of back and forth side smash to knee cut passing, okay? So if you haven't checked that out, I'll leave it somewhere in the bio or up here or wherever, and you guys can find it, okay? But this next video is going to be on mainly his unique style and unique approach to passing the half guard position. It's kind of a knee cut, but it's not necessarily just a simple basic knee cut. So really pay attention, and I hope you guys are going to like it. Alright guys, so in this video, it's going to be a little bit different because both competitors are in white, but as you can see here, Lucas Lepri is wearing this yellow and green belt. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this, because I'm going to be referencing them by name, okay? So once again, this is Lucas, this is Gustavo. Now, one thing to note real quick, just about the way that Gustavo kind of grabs his grips, it's not necessarily the safest way to grab grips. Normally, you should be grabbing grips with the opposite hand of your leg that you have forward. Because if you reach with this arm that's forward here, oftentimes you are giving up kind of a single leg attempt from your opponent. But Gustavo's so good at his single leg defenses that he probably doesn't worry about such things. But for more beginners and myself, I definitely worry about such things because I don't want to have anyone grab a single leg on me. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to grab grips on your opponent. All right, this was a really amazing kind of flying scissor sweep. Now let's just take a quick look at this, and we're gonna really just check out what is going on exactly. And I know you guys can't see here, but Gustavo has hit this sweep on me many times. I used to train with him at Atos. What he's doing in this scenario, he's going to be grabbing a tricep grip right here on his opponent, okay, on Lucas Lepri here. And he also just has a collar grip in this situation. And he's going to be kind of he's going to fall as he kind of does a steering wheel with his grips. And I'll slow it as we'll go slow here. Okay, so he falls into position, and his knee is going to come right to the chest of Lucas and start pulling Lucas's weight overhead, over his body in this direction, okay? So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get his weight off of his he's trying to bring his hips forward, basically bringing his hips closer to Gustavo's hips, making him much lighter. Okay, and now this far leg here, and that's why this knee is in place as well, because he's going to be bringing Lucas's chest on top of this knee so he can really hit that scissoring motion. And this right leg here is going to be trapping this far leg, and he's going to move all the weight of Lucas on this far leg here, on this left leg of Lucas, and he's going to chop it out from underneath him as he kind of pulls his body and pulls that tricep grip, and really just pulling everything as he kind of circles to his right. Okay, so let's take a quick frame by frame here. See how he's extending, pulling as he starts pulling here. And now if he didn't pull this grip here, he wouldn't be able to get up to his elbow, and he wouldn't really be able to finish this sweep. So that's very important, as you can see now, and you can really see that tricep grip, and you can really see this chopping motion in the back. He's really starting to pull Lucas forward, and you see how right away he kind of pulls just enough to be able to get up to his elbow and make this a very smooth transition to the top position. And he ends up in the single leg X right away. Now, ideally, he would end up in mount, but against high-level opponents, sweeps like this, they're mainly always going to end up in a single leg X position, as we can see here. Okay, and I'll let this clip play, and then we'll talk about what exactly happens next. Okay, let's go back really quick. Okay, so we just ended up in this single X position, and right away, just like in the video prior to this video, once again on Gustavo Batista's passing, he reaches for this pant grip. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. He reaches for this pant grip here, okay? Now, again, I'm going to explain why he's reaching for this pant grip. This pant grip, if Gustavo is able to maintain this grip here, he's able to stop the majority of stand-up options or stand-up sweeps from the single leg X position. Now, that's from the single leg position, the main sweeping options are these stand-up variations, whether they're the single variation, the technical stand-up variation, or the modified technical stand-up. Those are the three main stand-up options, and they're probably the most powerful attacks from the single leg X position. And this grip right here basically has to be dealt with if you want to go for any of these transitions. So if you're the person on top, if in single X, I highly suggest that you grab this grip. Now, the next thing to note of why Gustavo was able to pull his leg out of position. Just like in the video prior against Jackson Souza, Lucas Lepri did not control the top leg before he switched to that underhook. Now, why did he not control the top leg? Well, I believe he was reaching. Look how he reached for that far leg. I believe he was going for kind of a waiter sweep style position, which is a good option, of course. I mean, Lucas plays the waiter sweep very, very well, and he probably doesn't play single leg X on this side as well on the other side. So he's probably switching to play the waiter sweep style position. It's more of it's a position which is easier to play on both sides, I would say, rather than the single leg X position, which is more so easier to play on your good side, right? So he's going for this switch to this waiter sweep style position, but he forgets once again to control this leg. Now, I would highly suggest all the beginners out there, if you want to go for these underhooks, definitely use your opposite arm that's not controlling the single X to hold your opponent's leg, and then you can safely reach for this underhook. And you see another beautiful thing that Gustavo does is he really he waits for the timing, he feels it's gone, and he pulls it out. Amazing transition. And now Gustavo is in a very, very advantageous half guard, almost knee cut style position. Okay, and you can see here, just a quick note, Lucas does have this knee in front for the time being. Okay, this knee shield here. And right there, I don't know if you guys caught that, but Lucas attempted to switch his hips to this side, towards camera side. Now, that was an attempt to force Gustavo into a deep half scenario, okay? Now, Lucas is very well known for his deep half game, and we'll get into that more later here, okay? And Gustavo does an excellent job in order to stop this deep half transition with this grip on Lucas's back. Now, this grip here does not allow Lucas's back to come towards the camera or come down to the mat. Now, in holding this grip, he will not be able to pull or roll Gustavo into these deep half situations, which are I would say, a better option, especially to play against in this kind of weight class or this open weight scenario. Rather than normal half guard situations, which are very, very difficult to play against heavier opponents. And Gustavo is the heavier opponent in this scenario, okay? And now we can already see, let's just take note again, that he's already holding the pants or starting to cup the hips of Lepri. He's really trying to keep Lepri in this close quarters position, okay? This half guard position. And we saw here that Lucas now has this underhook. Now let's just talk about this underhook really quick. The main options from this underhook are, for one, this Lucas Lepri kind of coyote guard. You guys can look that up on YouTube. It's when you start getting a really deep underhook almost on the far side hip of your opponent. Or you can go for sort of a Bernardo Farias style underhook on the leg, and then you have different lapel and different stand-up single leg variations. Okay, so let's just keep playing here, and I'll explain as we go along. And we'll come back to this wedge here that Gustavo is using. So let's just go back 2 seconds, because there's so much action happening in this little part here, okay? So as we can see, once again, Lucas kind of gave up this knee shield for this underhook, okay? If you want to play an underhook style half guard, you're not going to really be able to have this knee shield in play, okay? And let's just, so Gustavo had this overgrip, okay? And now he realized that Lucas is trying to stand up on his elbow and possibly start going for different single leg attempts, okay? So he's keeping his hips, Lucas's hips, very, very close to him. And in keeping his hips, Lucas's hips very close to him in this direction, Lucas will not have the ability to scoot out and use his feet to shrimp out and enter any sort of shin-on-shin scenarios and pull Gustavo into X-guard, or even just stand up for different single leg kind of attempts, wrestling attempts, okay? So just keep that in mind. And now we're going to really take a look at how Gustavo uses this grip here. He's almost using it as a wrench, okay? Imagine that that Lucas's head is the nut, and Gustavo is wrenching Lucas's head, and in doing so, he's forcing the back of Lucas to the ground in this situation. So if you're a beginner and you're in the half guard, or even advanced competitor, and you're in the half guard and your opponent's trying to stand up, really, really good idea to get your forearm on the face of your opponent and really start wedging your opponent's face down, because where the head is, the body will follow, if that makes sense. So as you start moving the head downwards or away, the body will fall away and downwards as well, okay? So let's just keep going here. So Lucas is not able to stand up and really keep any sort of posture in this scenario. And Gustavo is just going to keep it stronger and stronger, getting closer and closer, deeper and deeper on that crossface, which is kind of what you're always looking for with your crossface. Okay, and now we're going to take a quick look here in a second. Just that was a quick attempt of a pass. He's kind of testing the waters here. I don't know why they switched to the ref. Okay, so this is a perfect kind of viewpoint of this whole scenario that we're in, this kind of unique half guard knee cut scenario, okay? So as you can see here, Lucas has a very, very weak underhook. Now, why is this so weak? Now, ideally, it would be on the other side or it would be underneath the leg of Gustavo, okay? And let's just take a quick note on what Gustavo is trying to do in this situation. Gustavo is ideally trying to twist the spine of his opponent. He's basically trying to make Lepri do this kind of movement here. This is a supine spinal stretch that you see often in yoga. Okay, but he's really trying to force the head of Lepri to this side, to this opposite side. Okay, and he's going to be doing that via he's going to be pulling Lepri's face, or excuse me, he's going to be pulling this grip towards him, and that will apply pressure in the opposite direction. That'll apply pressure in this direction here. And then he's also pulling with this grip as well. Okay, that should actually be in green. Sorry about that. So he's pulling, and his pressure is going forward in this scenario, and that's really going to create this spinal twist that I was referring to earlier. Okay, it's going to look like this yoga stretch right here. Oh, I'll show you guys. That's basically what Lucas is about to look like, but not as pretty. All right, so let's keep going here. See how he's really, really trying to twist the spine in this scenario. One thing to note about how Gustavo is defending this underhook as well of Lepri is he's really, really keeping all his weight over this underhook, and that makes this if Gustavo's head was higher in this scenario, say it was up, say he was doing a traditional crossface, Lucas would be able to kind of push Gustavo's body forward with this knee in the butt. That's also what this grip is doing. It's preventing any sort of knee in the butt attempt, because ideally in this situation, Lucas would be using his knee under the butt of Gustavo to lift him forward, and then Lucas would be able to start sneaking out with this underhook to the back of Lepri. To the back of Gustavo, the person on top. Okay? And we'll talk about this crossface that Gustavo has here in a second. Look at this constant pulling of the hips, really trying to force that supine spinal stretch, I guess you could say. Now, this is a perfect kind of viewpoint of the crossface of Gustavo. Now, rather than going for, say, a traditional crossface in which you would grab the armpit of your opponent and then use your bicep to force their head to this opposite side, Gustavo doesn't worry so much about the head of his opponent, okay? Gustavo is more so worried about this pull and this twisting of the spine, and so he's really reaching more so towards the belt of his opponent. The deeper he can make this grip or this crossface, the better. The more pull and leverage he's going to have to really twist that spine of Lepri. So really, really keep that in mind. If you want to go for this pass, make sure that you're reaching as deep as possible towards the belt with your crossface, and that's going to allow you to actually bring your shoulder lower, and then that shoulder is going to be way, way stronger than your bicep crushing your opponent's face. It's really, really horrible, this situation. I've been here many, many times with Gustavo. It's awful, okay? And this spinal twist that he's doing makes you feel like you have to give up the pass or you're going to hurt yourself, okay? Look how he's just staying so tight, keeping that constant pull with the hip. And honestly, from this situation, if I were Lepri, I would give up on this underhook idea. I would try and bring my arm, try and get that forearm in the front of Gustavo's face, and really just try and create distance, because this is a lost cause. Any sort of underhook attempt, because Gustavo is kind of low on the arm, on that underhook of Lepri, is just kind of, it's futile. It's not going to work, okay? So he's constantly creating that spinal twist here, and then when he feels ready, it's all on his own timing. He's gonna pass that knee line or pass that hip line of Lepri and really finish the pass. Now, one thing to note about half guard passing, we'll replay this amazing pass here while I talk about half guard passing. One thing to note about half guard passing is that it's the only kind of passing in which you control the upper body and then you pass the hips. On most passes, you kind of pass the hips and then you control the upper body. For example, at Toreando, you would pass the hips and then you would have to kind of pin your opponent via grabbing the head and the crossface and and then finally stabilizing. But half guard is kind of the opposite in a way. You grab the head and then you pass the hips. So just keep that in mind when you're in these half guard situations to really, really control the upper body of your opponent, whether with an underhook, a near side underhook, or a crossface, okay? So let's just really take a look at this spinal twist here, and that just makes Lucas powerless, and he has to give up the pass. Really, really beautiful pass. Amazing, honestly. All right, guys, that was the next clip of this little Gustavo Batista passing series. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and there'll be more of these little mini breakdowns for you all, okay? I'll see you guys soon. Os!